What is up, guys? Welcome back. In today's video, we are finally going to be putting up the roof rack for the solar panels on the top of the RV. But first and foremost, there's a few things that we need to get out of the way while I still wait for a few parts. So the roof rack is going to look something like this, but just a lot bigger, obviously. And I'm going to run them widthways at the front, basically in the overhang cab part of the RV. So essentially what I'm gonna have is the bolt coming through those steel supports that I've installed on the inside already. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go check out my last video. And essentially it's going to be bolt. It's 3.5 inch stainless steel with a washer through the support beam inside. That will come through here. Square washer, lock nut. What more could you ask for? There is also going to be a rubber spacer to keep the bottom of this rack off of the actual roof. That will allow for me to clean underneath, amongst other things, just for ease of access, essentially. As well, in the meantime, today we're going to be finishing the ceiling insulation and installing one furring strip just for that primary part of the ceiling where I have new supports in. I had to remove all of that in order to get those in, so I'm going to be adding a 1x1, and that way I'll have something to tack the boards to, granted that there's no original ceiling like the back half of the RV has. And that is essentially it that we're going to tackle today. So to recap, we're going to be doing the insulation, furring strip, and then we're going to be preparing the actual roof racks, getting them painted and sealed for all types of weather environments to come. So I'm just using a heavy duty enamel, and it's going to be black. Should be fairly easy to get on. I'm going to bring out the sawhorses and get those coated, and looking forward to seeing the end result. So here's the actual struts that I'm going to be using for the roof rack. This is just super strut. It's used for mostly electrical purposes, but this is pretty strong stuff, steel, and once we get it coated, each one can have a load rating of 81 pounds. So the two of them together, 162 pounds of load, so it should be more than enough for 2 solar panels. This stuff was actually super hard for me to find here in Canada. They only have it at one store, Rona, which is also a Canadian version of Lowe's. And they don't have it at Home Depot, they don't have it really anywhere else, so even metal supermarkets and stuff, you couldn't find it. So I lucked out, but I'm going to show you how to build essentially the easiest and most foolproof, versatile roof rack for RV, van, bus, whatever possible, because once you have this base in, you can add on just about anything. You can even add on more of the super strut. Let's say if you run your initial one horizontally, you can then add in additional pieces vertically by just locking them down together. There's these spring nuts, and you just bolt it down into that, and they are solidified. So if I wanted to extend my rack backwards more, if nothing was in the way, but I didn't have the space to move horizontally backwards, I could just set up my initial horizontal platform and then run longer ones vertically, put whatever on there. It's pretty neat. So I'm gonna get these painted. I'm gonna give them a wash first, light wash. We're gonna get those painted, and then while they're drying, I'll do everything else. Alright, I got them sanded lightly just to help with adhesion. This is a primer paint in one, so the more irregular surface you can grab onto, the better. And I got them wiped down. I just got the trim clad pretty common. Has like super wide fan tip, so hopefully this is a lot easier, but we will see it. Oh, I think my bolts are here. My hardware has arrived. Here is my spacers. These are a little smaller than what I was expecting, but they should still do the trick. I'll try them out with the bolts in a second. I'm assuming these are my washers. Let's see. I got my washers, but that is not a 1-inch washer. There's no way. That's like 1.5 inches. So, and I can't, these are so hard to find for some reason too, so I might just have to cut them down with the angle grinder, to be honest with you. But we'll check it all out. Just as I suspected, it's like an 1/8 inch too big to slide in, so I'm gonna have to trim all of these. It's not that big of a deal though. I just have to trim one side, and then it'll line up like this. So it is possible. So here's a better explanation of how this is gonna work. The bolt, stainless, with a stainless washer, that goes through the support beam that's installed inside. This is 1 inch to represent the beam, with a little give or take for the thickness of the roof. This rubber spacer sits on top of the roof, and then if I can, that'll sit, oh, I pushed it down. That'll sit like that. Just for the sake of this, I'll show you like this. It'll sit on there, and then this square washer is inside to keep the bolt from swaying. And that'll lock down. So, hope that helps. Without any further ado, let's get this paint on.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Wow, this is good. That is so quick. Wow, this is one quick coat. Both already like super nicely covered. Highly recommend. This fan tip is awesome. Alright, check it. First coat, super nice coverage. I didn't put it on too thick, maybe in a few spots, a little thick, bubbled. That's gonna be hidden anyways. I just want to keep it from corroding. Doesn't need to look absolutely beautiful. Obviously that's a plus. But wow, this stuff is good. Highly recommend. Fan tip for the win. I dropped it in the parking lot too, and it's still booming. Time for a second coat. Second coat is looking real nice. Boom!
Early the next morning.
Alright guys, what is up? We're back today to finish, hopefully get this roof rack installed. I've got my square washers resized. They all fit pretty perfectly. I did these like an hour ago and they're still hot. But they're ready to go. I'm ready to go. So let's go. So as some of you know by now, I have one roof rack going in this here. I got the furring strip and all my insulation finished up yesterday. And then we got another going in this support here. So this gives it enough. I was initially going to use the aluminum, but I thought maybe it would be too soft, and this is structural, so I thought I would leave it alone. I added in this one instead, and it's a lot stronger, and it gives me a little bit of space from the front, just for clearance purposes and whatnot. And then this one is in front of the fan. The only thing about this one is, because of the counters, it doesn't run all the way, it stops right there. You can see the black square, that's the bar. So I'm gonna put the last one in just before the end of that, so it won't go all the way to the end, but it'll be secured in 5 places. I got the 3/8 drill bit. I'm going to measure out where I want to put them exactly, and by doing that I'll just put a bit of tape on the spot that I want to drill through, and then I will drill in my slots. I'll start with this one. I'll just do one at a time, and I will go up on the roof, check the holes, make sure everything is good, and then I'm going to put the bolt with the washer on, cover that bolt, lower part of the bolt and the inside of the frame, and then a bit from the top with some silicone sealant or something of the sort. I probably will have to go get something. And then I'll put some butyl tape over the bolt, and then I'll put the spacer on the bolt on top of the butyl tape, and then I can put the rack on, and then put the square washer and then the lock nut, tighten that down, and then seal around where the butyl tape is and the spacer is with DAP sealant, and maybe seal a little bit around the bolt where the spacer is. So I'm just gonna really do as much sealing as I possibly can to ensure that I don't have any leaks ever. So I'm not dealing with that ever again. I'm saying that right now. I will never have another leak again. This thing has been leak-proofed, and I'm gonna continue to leak-proof it. So yeah, that's the plan. Okay, so we got all our spots marked off. They're evened out. And I had to remove this insulation again so I could see where I'm gonna put them through, because I have to put them through these wood panels so that when I clamp it down, there's no bow in the roof, it's strong. And obviously there's not one there, but that's the general gist of things, so.
2 very boring minutes later.
This is gonna be a little trickier than I thought. I might need to pilot drill it first with a smaller bit. I think that's the plan, new plan. Scratch what I just said. The drill's stuck. That one went through. We have a hole. We have a hole in the roof. Daylight. Okay, that was extremely tiring, and I think I did okay. The first initial holes are drilled. This one was a pain in the ass, but I got it. I need to size them up now to 3/8, but I might do that from the top. I'm gonna go check things out and see if maybe that makes more sense. And I only broke one bit, so I'd say that's a success. Alright, we've got our 3/8 holes. I did actually end up doing it from the roof, I just didn't take any video, but they're nice and centered in the support, so I'm happy. They turned out well. I ended up having to size it up another bit size before I could do 3/8, but yeah. Now I'm gonna put the rack up, just size it, make sure everything is good, and then we'll get those bolts through the holes. Exciting stuff. This is nerve-wracking, putting holes in the ceiling, but it's gotta be done, baby.
The butyl tape is on. I put some sealant inside this as I put it over the bolt. I've got the square washers inside. See how it goes. Okay, so there was enough left for me to be able to secure it all the way, I believe. I'm gonna have to test it out in a second because this one's only like halfway in. It's not reached the lock yet, but I need someone on the inside to hold the wrench on the bolt so I can actually tighten these down. And then once they're tightened, I'll let everything cure, harden up, and then I'll put some sealant around the edges where all the butyl tape is. There's quite a lot. I'll just really get it on there, and then once that's sealed and everything, when I reseal the roof, I'll take the bars off, seal around everything, and then put the bars back on. Yeah. Alright, we got them locked down. And they actually compress a little bit because they're rubber and not plastic. So you can get it pretty tight without having to worry about stripping anything or anything cracking or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. And now I just got to do the same thing again for the next rack, which will be right along this seam here, and then we'll get that in, and then I'll put the fan up, and I'll let this cure as long as I can, and then I'm gonna add some of this around the edges just to really solidify everything. And I'm also gonna add more along here as well, probably, if it fully dries. And those two stick up a little more than they should, so I might have to trim those down when I have the panels on.
Much later.
Alright, both roof racks are on. The second one is finished. Super secure. Like, that is strong. They sealed it with the self-leveling lap sealant, sorry. It was hard to do with this on. Probably should have done it before I put them on, but it should be good. I sealed it from the inside very well. I put the butyl tape. I put the clear sealant on inside the rubber spacer. And then I put this stuff on the outside, and it's like squished down super tight, so should be good. and it's gonna get sealed again with the roof sealant. I gotta take these off just to seal it and then put it back on, but it should be good as is. You know, fingers crossed. There's no spot for water to come in, but I'm about to do the second fan. So this is officially it for the roof racks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was quite the job, drilling through the supports inside and then doing that 3 times because I had to upsize twice to get the 3/8 hole, and then I had to adjust some of the holes for where the bolts lined up just because they weren't exactly dead center, and then sealing the bolts, pushing those through, getting everything lined up in terms of hardware, and then having my mom, shout out to my mom, she had to hold the bolts with the wrench so I could tighten them down with the socket, and then sealing everything, and it's quite the process. And I did the fan halfway through doing this as well, so, and that's running really well. So if you want to see how to install a max air fan, click down below. I'll link that eventually. Once that's up, I'll put it in the description. I'll just edit it in because that'll be coming after this video. And yeah, as always, remember to keep loving your heart, and I'll see you next time. I hope this helped, guys.